Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about how Dungeons & Dragons' fate is now intimately braided to Magic the Gathering, how Magic the Gathering's fate is intimately braided to Dungeons & Dragons, and how we're seeing market possibilities, market realities that are quite literally shaping, coming into fruition that have never occurred on any product in the world. And also how we're starting to get some real numbers on Dungeons & Dragons supplement products. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so I want to talk to you about Worm Coil Engine. All right, you know what a worm is, WRM, right? Big giant worm, that purple worm. We know what that thing is, right? On the Dungeons & Dragons side, every dungeon master knows what a worm is, right? And so let's. So what about purple worm, right? Okay, all right, let's keep moving. Worm Coil Engine. That's over on Magic Gathering side. Wait, what? And Dungeons & Dragons. Slow your roll, all right? So how's the connection? How does it connect, all right? First of all, there's Gary Gygax. Second, there's Amanda Heyman, okay? But let's talk about James Wyatt. What is James Wyatt? James Wyatt, in my humble opinion, he designed on the Magic the Gathering side, and he designed on the Dungeons & Dragons side officially. And I think it is my humble opinion that James Wyatt is the father of Dungeons & Dragons World Stranding, building strands of gossamer light between Forgotten Realms to 1,000 different worlds through Funko Pop, through 1,000 different worlds through Lego, through 1,000 different worlds through Magic Gathering. And he started it all with Planeshift Zendikar, which officially said, hey, don't you ever forget it. The worlds of Magic the Gathering are Dungeons & Dragons worlds. The worlds of Dungeons & Dragons are Magic the Gathering worlds. Don't you ever forget it. These worlds are connected, okay? And the only thing left to debate, it's not debatable that they're connected. And actually, it's not even debatable that it's not canon, right? It's definitely canon, right? You know how you know? Because of Mythic Odysseys of Theros, because of Strixhaven, and because of Mythic Odysseys of Theros, Strixhaven, Curriculum of Chaos, and Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. It's not even a debatable subject that Magic Worlds are connected to, that are canon to Dungeons & Dragons. They're quite literally canon, right? Like, and Christopher Perkins was like, in case you forget it, D&D canon hardbacks, here's the list, right? And those three are very firmly on the list, right? So it is not debatable that Magic Gathering Worlds are canon to Dungeons & Dragons. That's already, that bridge is built, right? Maybe you could debate the number of worlds, but even that, to me, in my humble opinion, that's not debatable, right? Here's where we are. Okay, let's talk about Brothers War. First of all, the most interesting guy who doesn't know the most interesting guy that Dungeon Master should be looking at right now is Rudy over on Alpha Investors. He is a he has bought and sold millions of dollars of D&D supplement product called Magic the Gathering, okay? Since, in my humble opinion, from 2016, okay, once Zendikar was printed, right, and put into officially making sure that everybody understood Magic Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons would never be separate again, ever. That their bonding was a permanent bond, right? And that the world strands that went through were made of gossamer light and were unbreakable by anyone on this planet, right? So James Wyatt started all this, right? But right now, Dungeons & Dragons is being massively impacted by what's happening on Magic Gathering, and Dungeons & Dragons is massively impacting what's happening on Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is massively impacting what's happening on Magic Gathering, but the world isn't seeing it yet. It's very delayed. Okay, but I'm going to give you evidence today, linked below. Okay, you will see a very, very fascinating video by Rudy over on Alpha Investment, and I love watching him because he's so ignorant, right? He is literally investing millions of dollars and has no idea what's happening on his product, right? On the product that he buys and sells every single day, right? He doesn't understand that Dungeons & Dragons is coming to permanently change his entire business, right? And if you think I'm wrong, in the video below, he comes close to the camera and he goes, sometimes Rudy's wrong and doesn't understand, I'm like, yeah, of course, buddy. All right, like, all right, and it's so cute to watch this millionaire be clueless of something I know intimately, right? Like it's fascinating. It's fascinating, right? But he's a brilliant guy. He's a brilliant guy. He's just ignorant. You can be brilliant and ignorant at the same time. You can be brilliant overall at the general level and ignorant on this one thing. And I'll tell you right now, I feel really good. I feel really good that I am talking now what the rest of the world's going to be saying 5 years from now. I already did it once. I already told you Dungeons & Dragons is more than a game. And now there's a whole line of people on Twitter telling you that Dungeons & Dragons is therapy. That's already there. I'm past it, right? I'm like, I talked about that 5 years ago. Let's get on with the new important thing that people don't understand on Dungeons & Dragons, right? So get this. So in this video, he says, hey, a week ago I told you that Brothers Wars was utter trash and you shouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole because every collector box is going to drop through the floor, right? And he goes, today I'm telling you, the value on those Brothers Wars Magic Gathering collector's boxes is actually staying. It's not going anywhere. It's not dropping at all, right? And he says, the reason why it's not dropping at all is because I didn't understand collectibility, right? And what's the collectibility? So what's happening on Brothers War that's making it valuable, right? Well, Wormcoil Engine. And how is Wormcoil Engine connected to Dungeons & Dragons, okay? So Wormcoil Engine is in Magic the Gathering. But James Wyatt said, no, slow your roll. Wormcoil Engine is in Dungeons & Dragons. Let me show you how, right? Here's Planeshift Zendikar. Here is Dungeons & Dragons. At the time it was 5e, right? He's like, here's Dungeons & Dragons 5e rule set for how you play Dungeons & Dragons in Zendikar. At this point forward, don't let any fool in this world tell you that Dungeons & Dragons worlds and Magic Gathering worlds are disconnected. They are not. I am proving it. I am making it. I'm making it a reality. You better recognize, right? And it did. It changed the world. It changed the world, right? So let's get all the way there, right? This is fascinating. I'm so fascinated by this. All right. So what happened? Whew, man, this is incredible. So Rudy says, hey, Brothers War isn't worthless. I thought it was going to be worthless, but it's not. Here's why. Wormcoil. I'm sorry, I keep not explaining Wormcoil Engine. Wormcoil is in Zendikar, right? It's printed in Zendikar, in Magic Gathering, right? Zendikar is an official D&D world, right? James Wyatt wrote it. It is. Like, it wasn't some like, third-party garage. It wasn't some OSR indie garage band energy. I made this over the weekend. This was official for Magic the Gathering, official for Dungeons & Dragons. They printed it. They handed it out at conventions. I know it because I got one shoved in my hand. It was like, what the heck is this? And when I saw it, I didn't understand it. I did not understand what was happening. Nobody does, right? Like, except me now, right? Get this, right? So what Rudy said is, he goes, sorry, I told you Brothers War was trash, but it's actually quite valuable. And the reason why is Brothers War, and so Wormcoil Engine is in Zendikar. Zendikar is printed as an official D&D world. Like, it's through Planeshift Zendikar. It's right there, okay? If you don't know, now you know. Go check it out. Like, you could download it for free, right? It's like, hey, Dungeons & Dragons, meet Zendikar. Zendikar, these two, Magic Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons, ain't never going to be apart again, right? And Wizards of the Coast has connected it. Click, 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 Lego, click, click, click. Clickety click. Time and time and time and time again. And still I got fools in the comments telling me people telling people that they're not connected. I'd like, just pay attention. Open your eyes, right? So Rudy's like, hey, Brothers War is worth this. And now a week later, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like really valuable because I didn't understand, right? What didn't he understand? I'm going to explain it now. Brothers Wars does something that's never been done in Magic the Gathering history, okay? What it's doing is it's printing 63 retro artifacts. That's one layer of collectibility, right? Then those cards are called schematic cards, and there are drawings behind the artifacts, okay? They have old school retro frames, but in the art there is schematics that give clues to the Brothers War world, right? Which essentially is Dominari, to my knowledge. All right, so then it goes further, and what they did is on these 63 retro artifact schematic cards, they are serializing them, and they're saying, okay, we're going to put a number on every single one of these. So every single one of these 63 different cards that are going to be printed in the Brothers War set, right? They're going to be serialized, and they're going to be 1 to 500. So you might get a regular one of these unserialized in your pack. Great, now you got a cute little card there, right? But what about these serialized ones, right? There's only 500 of them in the world, and some, Arabian sheik with billions of dollars can go get them all, right? Like, they can't open them all. It's impossible to do that. But they can literally fly around the world and collect them all, right? Or anybody else who has billions, some Russian oligarch or some American Silicon Valley billionaire. You will need to be a billionaire, not a joke. You'll need to be a billionaire to get 500 of these, right? So does that make, so you're like, well, who cares about that? Like, some billionaires are going to be happy? What's that got to do with me? It's got something to do with you. You can get the number 69 of Worm Coil Engine. You can get the 420 of Worm Coil Engine. You can get the number 1. You can get the 500. You can get the 7. All those numbers have special meaning to people. Yeah. 83 don't mean nothing to nobody except the billionaire sheik. But if you get number 69 of that card, you can tell that Arabian oil prince to go kick rocks, because you are saying, I defy you, Arabian billionaire. I got 420 of Worm Coil Engine, and you'll never own it, fool. I won't sell it to you for $1 billion, right? You could tell a Silicon Valley billionaire to go kick rocks. You can tell Jeff Bezos to go kick rocks, right? I got the Worm Coil Engine 420. You could go kick rocks, fool, right? You will never complete your collection because of me, right? That's power. And that's right at the heart of Dungeons & Dragons, right? And what's happening on Magic, which is now intimately braided to Dungeons & Dragons, makes Dungeons & Dragons the heart of collectability, right? And wait, could Magic the Gathering do this all without Dungeons & Dragons? You don't know, fool. You don't know, and you never will, because the Magic the Gathering is no longer separate from Dungeons & Dragons. It is intimately braided. And Dungeons & Dragons owns every success Magic has at this point forward. It's in there, right? They are married, and there will be no divorce, right? Because the bridge is already printed, right? That we already have it, and that's the beautiful thing. Please, I'm begging you, open your eyes. Imagine when James Wyatt is the father of World Stranding, and what's happening on Dungeons & Dragons is unprecedented what's happening with Dungeons & Dragons is unprecedented in the human history of narrative, and now there are things happening with Dungeons & Dragons that are unprecedented in the history of human collectability. I told you that the value of this, the importance of this, the ramifications of this was only going to grow. And now only fools do not see that the day James Wyatt printed Planeshift Zendikar, Dungeons & Dragons changed forever, Magic Gathering changed forever, Lego changed forever, Funko Pop changed forever. It is real. This is triple beam millennium World Stranding, which has never been done on any product in the world. All that's my humble opinion. I am eager to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful morning.